Hello everyone. Hope you all are doing fine. My name is Rishika and I'll be the moderator of this session. I request you all to listen to the session carefully, and if you have any doubts then please write them in the chat box. We'll try to answer them. Now without any further delay, Aanchal, please take it over and start the session.
Rishika, so let's start with JavaScript. So now what is JavaScript? So like any other language, JavaScript is also a programming language, but the difference is it is a scripting language that enables you to create a dynamically updating content. Now, what does it mean? It means you can create a complex pages and the functions that we see in the web applications or any other application. You can even control multimedia or the animation of images, and you can do any functionality, like you can add the different kinds of functionality to your web pages or to your application. So now what are the advantages that you should go for the JavaScript? What does it offer to you? So it's offer you the speed and the simplicity. So if you know that if you are doing a web application, if you're working on a websites or any other kind of application, so you are very much concerned with the speed. So JavaScript provides you the client side is very fast. So client side JavaScript is really fast because the client can run it immediately and within a click you will over the pages. So yeah, it is because of the speed, and the another reason is the simplicity. So if you have two things, that is one is simpler and the other one is complex, then obviously you will go with the simple one. So JavaScript is really simple when compared with the other programming languages. So the next thing is popularity. So sometimes we go with the flow, like whatever the other peoples are doing, we also want to do the same. So this is also a reason JavaScript is in demand and it is really popular. So yeah, these are the basic things. The next thing is it can be used with the variety of application. Like you can combine different languages together, and you can also have JavaScript with them. So it's really good to have to have other languages with the JavaScript language. And the very important thing that I feel is server load. So JavaScript reduces the demand on the website server. It means it gives you the ability to create rich interfaces. So it is really important to have that in your site or even if you are using application. So where you can use JavaScript. You can use JavaScript in front-end development, in back-end development. So it is the language you can use in both front and back part. So it's like many problems and one solution. So if you know both the front-end and back-end part, so you can be a full stack developer. So earlier we used to be limited with the developer, like front-end developer, back-end developer, and full stack developer. But now JavaScript can be used in mobile application, in real-time networking apps, and even in command line tools and games. So yeah, we have the variety of applications. So that's why JavaScript is really important to know. Next part is, where do you run JavaScript? Like we all know, we used to run JavaScript in browsers. So because browsers have the JavaScript engine, it is a environment where we used JavaScript. Okay, so where we use this, I'll show you. Like this is the Google browser, the Chrome. You can open any browser, then you can right click and go to inspect. So once you are on inspect, what you can do is you can go to the console part like this. This is the console part. And now you can write any command here, like the JavaScript code. Let me go with the simple one, like 2 plus 2. So yeah, it is working fine. It will give you 4. Okay. So it's like you can run any code here. In fact, you can also print something like console.log. And then if you want to print something like hello world or something, you can do that. So it will give you the same thing. So what is the drawback here? Here you can't save your program. Okay, like I have written these lines, but when I just cross the window and then I will open up afterwards, it is not saved anywhere. So we want something more relevant, like we want to save our codes. So that's why I am introducing you VS Studio Code. So Visual Studio Code is something like the IDE. So you can run any languages here, and you can also run JavaScript in Visual Studio Code. So here, this is the site where you can download VS Code. I will provide you the link after this session. Here you can select the Windows or the Mac or any operating system you are using. You can select that and you can download VS Code. Fine. And now, if you want to run JavaScript in Visual Studio Code, for that purpose, you need to install Node.js. So same thing, guys, you need to like select whichever operating system you are using, whether it is 32-bit or 64-bit. You will choose that and you will download it. Fine, I have already installed both the things, Node.js and VS Code, so I'm not doing it again. So once you are done with the installation process, the VS window will open like this. Okay, so before going to JS code, you need to install some of the extensions. Like first extension is JavaScript ES6. So I will quickly show you what is it, JavaScript ES6. You have to install this. So I have already installed it, but if you guys haven't, so you just type JavaScript ES6 and just click the install button here. The another extension is code runner. Have to write code runner and then yeah, you have to install this. So these two extensions are important to run JavaScript in Visual Studio Code. So that's it, guys. You just have to do installation part is done. So now I will open a folder. So if you haven't created a folder, you will just go to the folder where you want to create it. You can go to the desktop and right click and you can create a folder there. But I have already created a folder. So let me just open that. So this is my folder. I have already written some of the content like the topics so that I won't forget anything. Rashika, please check is my screen is visible. The coding part is visible.
Yes, I can see. Yes, yes, it's visible.
Okay. Okay, fine. So yeah, we will start from the comment section, like whether you every time we used to comment things for the better understanding. So there are two types of comments. First, you need to do a double forward slash. Then you can have your single line comment. Then if you want multiple line comment, then you have to do a forward slash, then a star. Then you can write your content, write multiple line comment, then again the star and forward slash. So it is done. So what I will suggest is don't do any of these. Whatever you have to write, just write it down. Like I will write hello, uh, hello there. And now I will select these two lines and I will press Control plus forward slash. So there are two reasons behind this. First, it is really simple. You just have to write and just Control plus forward slash. The another reason is if you want to remove this comment, like somewhat you feel you don't need this, just select it again and then press Control and forward slash again. So you are done. You have removed that comment. So the next part is data types. So in JavaScript, we have 8 data types. So let me write down that. So first one is undefined. First one is undefined. Then I have declaration. Then I have declaration. I have null. I have Boolean. And after Boolean, I have string, then big integer, number, object, and after object, the last one is symbol. So these 8 data types are there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 8. So undefined is something which you didn't define in your program. Like if you just declare something and you don't initialize it, that is undefined. Then the null is like empty. Null is not zero. Zero is a number, but null is like empty. It is nothing. Then we have Boolean. So in Boolean, we have two values, that is true and false. So it only have two values. Other than that, Boolean doesn't have anything. Okay. So next is string. String is like the word or the characters. Like if I'm writing Aanchal or Rishika or Sonia, so these are strings. Now big integer and number get confused in these two because they are almost the same. It's just there are range difference. Numbers we used for the small range of number and big integer we used for the larger range of numbers. So there is only the range difference. Then object is like an important topic and we will discuss it later in this session. Then the so symbol built-in object that we will discuss later. So it is a built-in object whose constructor return a symbol. Okay, so whenever you are using a symbol, you need to use data type symbol. It will guarantee unique. Okay, obviously all the symbols are unique, so that's why it guarantees you to be unique. So let me comment this out. Then we will discuss about variable declaration. First of all, what is variable? So here is like empty containers that you to fill it with the data. We have already discussed the type of data. So we will create an like empty boxes. Just think it as an empty box which you will fill with your data. Okay. So when you create a variable, an empty space is created in the memory section. So let's create a variable. So there are two things. You need to declare a variable and then you have to initialize a variable. So declare means you are telling your system that you will be using that space under this name. Like I'm declaring it as var, then I'm writing name. It means that I'm telling my system that I'll be using a space under the name of name. So it's like this. I've created an empty box. Now I fill it with some data. So how to fill it with data? Just write name equals to and then write some data. So I will fill it with string. So whenever you are using string, you need to have the double quotes around your string. Okay, and if you are using number, it's totally fine without using quotes. Okay, so I have declared a variable and I have initialized it. So let's see whether it is working or not. So console.log and then parenthesis and then write your variable name. So it is a way of printing your variable or printing anything. Console.log is like a printing statement. So you need to save this and then just run this. So as you can see, my variable get printed. I have saved the data Rishika in my variable, so it is showing me that. Fine, so we got our output. So what if I want to save a variable in another variable? So I can do that also. I just have to create another variable. So let's create variable name 2. And let's initialize it with name, our previous variable. Okay. Saving a variable in another variable. So it's also totally fine. Yes, so I have declared and initialized a variable in the single line. So you can also do that. Earlier, what I have done, I have declared a variable and in the next line I have initialized it. But you can also do the both part in the same line. Okay, so let's see whether it is working or not. So let me write the printing statement. Then just save your code. Let's run this. Yeah, it is working fine. We got our output. So the next part is case sensitivity. So JavaScript is case sensitive. It means that it will treat capital and small letters differently. It's like if I have created a variable, like variable with capital A, and I'm saving 8 there. And I'm creating another variable with small letter A, and I'm saving 7 here. So now if I print, let me print console.log, then let's print small a. So it will give me 7, right? The output is 7. It's because JavaScript is a case sensitive language and it will treat capital and small letters differently. So if you're writing small codes, then it is fine. But if you're writing lengthy codes, so you need to be careful. If you're using capitals, so use capitals. If you're using small, so use small. Don't get confused. So now an initialized variable. So sometimes we just don't initialize a variable, we just declare them. So what happens when we only declare them and then we print them? So let's have a variable. Suppose I'm having variable A, then I'm trying to print that variable console.log. Then let's print it by adding 1. Let's see what happens. So it is giving me NaN. It means not a number. As I said earlier, variable is just like an empty container. And the data we are putting inside that container is the data type. Like we are telling our system that this is the data type. But here we are not putting any data inside that. So the system doesn't know anything. Like system doesn't know whether it is an integer or a string or a Boolean. So I'm adding 1 here, but the system doesn't know whether it is a number or not. So system is returning me NaN, which means not a number. Okay, so what will happen if I consider it as a string? Let's run this. So it is giving me undefined. Now, why the output is undefined? Because I haven't defined anything here. I'm just declaring a variable. I'm not defining it as a string or a number or anything. So that's why it's really important to initialize your variable whenever you are declaring it. So it's a good practice to initialize it whenever you are declaring a variable. So let's comment this out and let's move to arithmetic operation. So as mathematics, there are also arithmetic operation in JavaScript like addition, then we have subtraction, then we have multiplication. Okay, so yeah, subtraction, then we have multiplication. We have division. We have modulus. So to those who are new in programming language, modulus is something which will return you the remainder. Division is like normal division that we perform in mathematics, but modulus will give you the remainder. It could be 0, 1, or anything. Okay, so there are some more operator like increment or decrement operator. Increment and decrement. So yeah, these are the operators. There are many more, but these are some important ones. So addition is like we are only doing sum, right? Let me comment this out and have a look in details. So console.log and a plus b. Now let's declare a variable and initialize it. A equals to 8. So I'm declaring a variable a with the value 8. Then I have another variable that will be 6. Okay. So now what I'm doing is I am adding both the variables. So let's just perform all the operation, then we will see the output. So the next one is subtraction. And after that we have multiplication. So for multiplication we use the star symbol, the asterisk. Okay, so then we have division. So division sign is same that we used in maths. Next is modulus. So for modulus we use the percentage operator. Okay, so the modulus is percentage and it will provide us with the remainder. So let's save this and yeah, the sum is 14, subtraction is 2, then the multiplication is 48 and division is 1.333 and we got our modulus that is remainder 2. Okay, so I guess this was simple. So now increment and decrement. So there are two types of increment. Let me comment this out. Yeah. So there are two types of increment. First is pre-increment, which means incrementing the value and then I'm using the variable. Okay, so first you have to increment, then you have to use it. The second one is A plus plus. This is known as post increment, which means you are using the value and then you are updating the value. So same goes with the decrement, pre-decrement and post-decrement. What are these? So let's write something. It will make you more clear. So console.log and let's say, let's go pre-increment first. So plus plus a. So I have to uncomment this. Yes. So I have declared a variable and just comment this out. Yeah. So I have performed pre-increment operation. So let me show you the value also, the value of a after this line. This. So now let's run this. So as you can see, both of these are 9. First, our variable was 8. We have incremented it first and then we have used the value. That's why we have used pre-increment. Okay, it means we have updated the value first and then we have used the variable. So what will happen if I change it to post-increment like this? Now let's run this again. As you can see, there is 8 first and then we have 9. Earlier, both of them was 9. So why this happened? It's because in post increment, we use the value first and after that line, we increment the value. So in this line, the value of A was 8 and after this line, the value of 8 got incremented by 1. So that's why when I printed the value of A in the next line, it gave me the output of 9. So this is the major difference between the pre and post increment and same goes with the decrement also. So the next part is string. So as I told you, string is like the words, the characters that we use. So let me declare a variable first. Let's take string a equals to Aanchal. So this is a string. And now what I have to do is I want my name to be in double quotes. But I can't do that by just simply adding double quotes here because it's not valid here. If I add double quotes in the starting, it will treat it as the empty variable, right? Because double quotes is like we are giving a string in double quotes. So we can't add many double quotes in our variable. So what we will do is we will add a backslash here and then we will add double quotes. Okay, and after my name also I will add a backslash, then a double quotes. So let's print this. Log A, then just I will run it. Yes. So now the output is in double quotes. Right. So if you want your something in double quotes or in single quotes, you want to highlight something. So what you can do is you can just add backslash and then whether you want to add a single quote or double quotes, you can do that. So it's really simple. So now what if I want my name to be in the next line? I don't want it to be in the same line. I want it to be printed in the next line. So I can add backslash and n. Let's run this. So yeah, my name is printed in the next line. Okay, so the n here is like the new line. It is for new line. Whenever you add slash n in your string, the string after that line is printed in the new line. Okay, so you can have your long string divided into a small section, or you can create paragraphs by using this new line. Okay, so what if I want my name to be after a tab space? So I will just add slash t, save it and run it. So yeah, there is a space of tab. Okay, so this is how you can do this. So the next section is concatenation. So if I want to concatenate string, like I don't want to edit my previous string, I want to add 2 strings or 3 strings. So what can I do? So let's create 2 strings first. A is equals to hello and B is equals to world. So now I want to print hello world. So obviously I can edit the variable A or variable B, but I don't want to do that. I want to combine those 2 variables. So I can do console.log and then I can do A, comma B. Okay, so you can do this with comma. See, this is printing hello world. Okay, so the first method is you can concatenate your string with comma, and the second method is plus. You can also use plus here. It is also printing me hello world. But as you can see the difference, when you use comma, you can adjust your letters. Okay, there are space between hello and world. But when you use plus, there is no space. So you have to create a space in your variable. Will work. So this was concatenation. The next topic, variable to strings. Suppose we have 2 or 3 variables and then variable after another. You can obviously use concatenation, but specifically for appending the variables, we have a slightly different method. Suppose we have a variable. Okay, so let's variable. Let's take this. So suppose I want to print these variables, but I don't want to print it here. I want to print it somewhere else, but I want it to be together. So what can I do is I can create another variable and I can do a plus b, but now it will it needs space. For another variable, it will require some space, but I don't want to waste a space. So what can I do is I can write b plus equals to a. Okay, C um, log v run this world hello. So yeah, I should a plus equals to b plus equals to b. So now it is printing me world because a plus equals to there, and now it is giving me world. So if you rearrange the words, you will have the different combination, like b plus equals to a will have the world hello, a plus to b will have the hello world, and different things. Now b plus equals to b is world because I have saved the word in b first. So you need to care about the. So this was about appending the variables. Although you can do with concatenation also, but it was specifically appending the variable. Now, if I want to find the length of a string, so I can do the and now I want to find the length of the hello world. So do it. I will write the string, or if you are saving the variable, just drop and write it. You can put it. So let's save this and run this. As you can see, it is giving the output of 11. So the hello world length is 11. So finding the length in JavaScript is really simple. So you can just write your string name or your variable name where you are saving your string and just do dot length and you can print that. Okay, so this was about length of a string. Now next is string immutability. So string are not immutable. Yeah, but it can't manipulate strings. So let's have a string first. Suppose, okay, let's take this. Yeah. So I have a string hello, a variable a. So if you want to access a specific letter in the hello, so what you can do is I will just print it out. So you can do a and then you can use square brackets. And then if you want to access the second one, the index, you can giving me why it is giving because I'm using A3. Oh, sorry, not 1. It is giving me L because 3. Because HELL, this is L. This is the second L because the index is from 0. H at first there was E, then there was L. Want to print O specifically, you can rather O. Say you will get that. Let's see whether you can manipulate the string or not. Let's say A4. Let me save it as E. I want to replace O with E. Let's see whether or not I can. So it is again the output is O because strings are immutable. So if I'm manipulating the string, it doesn't affect the real string. Although it is not showing any error, but it just can't change any specific letter in your string. You can just replace the entire string, rewrite it, write. Let me write this: A equals to world. Okay, overwriting it at the place of filling different set of data. Okay, earlier it was hello, but we set with world. So let me print. So now the output is because of the variable get override. Earlier it was hello and now it is world. Okay, so you just can't manipulate your string. You can replace the entire. So let's comment this out. So let's move to array. Now, what is array? So array is like you can save various number of data under a same name. It's like you have multiple boxes and you have a sequence of that box. The array in the continuous memory. Okay. So yeah, you can save them under a. So how can you declare a variable? So that then I will say my array name is a. Garg is my array name. Then what I have to do? I have to use square brackets. Now under square brackets, I can save different set of data. And the advantage of JavaScript is that you can have a string and the numbers in the same array. Languages, you can only have the string or you can only have the numbers in your array, but in Java, 5. So I have stored 4 data in my array. Okay. So let's print this. So console.log. Then I have ARR. So like this, you can print here as you can see output. Our array a nested array. So what is a nested array? You can put an array inside another array. Like if I try another array, this ARR, let's create another array. So let's have 2, 3, 4. Okay. This is also fine. You can have a nested array. So how can we access a nested array? So at the index of A 0, 1, it's 1. And the nested array is at the index 3. So we will write index 1 2. Then we will write whatever the value we want. So we, also we have starting index as 0. Let's save this and 3. Okay. That also the array is this, and if you want multi-dimensional array, so it's like you can have multiple nested array inside a single array. So it will give you multiple dimensional array. So you can create multi-dimensional 3D or 3D. You can number is inside your existing array. So yeah, you can also manipulate array. Let's manipulate a simple one. So let's go in that one is then because the index starting from 0. So at 0 there is a 1. So let's have 4. Okay, so I'm replacing 1 with 4. Let's print this. Let me save my program. Yeah. So as you can see, 1 is replaced by this way you can array. Also, there are certain functions you can use like push. So let's try them. So if you want to add something, if you want to if you want to append something in your array, append means you will add that thing at the last. Try to append something. So what we will do is dot push and push. We will write our value. Suppose we want to push 7 in our array. Okay, so let's save this and run this. Yes. see that 7 is added at the end because we were appending something. Appending is always done at the last, at the end. Okay, so we have added 7. Now, if you want to remove 7, you can simply use rr dot and so now in because it will simply remove last value. Okay, so it will remove 7 a. Let's see. Yeah, as you see, 7 is removed now. So in this way, you can remove something or you can add something at the end there. But suppose you want to put something at the starting with the beginning of the array. So you can use another function like shift. So unshift will add a different value to your array at the beginning. So arr dot unshift will say yeah, we have successfully added 3 at the beginning of our array. So now if you want to remove 3 from your array, you can simply write arr dot shift and again the empty parenthesis. Again, we don't need to provide any index because we will simply remove from your array. So yeah, 3 got removed from our array. So in this way, you can manipulate your array. You can add something at the ending, or if you want to manipulate your array in the middle or at specific index, you can use these lines. We have one in the square bracket and then equals to, and then write the value you want to add at index. So this is how you can play around with array. So let me comment this. I have already discussed the nested array, the multi-dimensional function. So functions are the set of code that use the program repeatedly. So we don't want to write it again and again. So what we will just write it in part and then we will call it again and again. Okay, so how to do that? Just write function. You need a function. You need a open and close parenthesis. Then in curly braces, you can write whatever the stuff you in the program. Suppose I only want return true. I only want true values. Return true function. Your program just write function and open and close this. But we are not printing anything in our function, so we need to print that so the bracket the function is returned. So you can have any value. You can subtract something or you can write something specific in your function. You can call it anywhere in the program. Okay, repeat it. Want to have a different types of values in your function. You want to return Boolean, you want to return integer, you want to return. What you need to do, you can write a console.log and call that function and the value will get printed. So you can do that also. Okay, so it's the same thing. I'm returning true value. True is the Boolean value. As I told you earlier, Boolean only have true and false. Two values it has. So you can do that. So now you can also pass values in your function. Suppose if you want to add two numbers and you will require these two numbers throughout your program. Okay, so you will create a function addition. Let's create a function. Creating a function add and let's have the values a and b. a comma b. And now I'm returning a plus b. Okay, I'm returning a plus b. So for returning, we should also have some values. So I will have variable a equals to 8, and then we will have another variable b with the value 5. Then after this, we will call this program. So let's say console.log. Then I will call this function add. Okay, and if you want to print this a and b, you can, this will directly get printed, but I want to pass the value. So I will pass 4 and 5. Now control save, let's run this. So it will give me 9. Okay, so if you remove this value that we were passing, that is known as arguments. Okay, so these values a comma b, these are arguments. So if I will remove this, let's remove this, and also 4 and 5. Okay, so if you want to do this, it will work perfectly. Okay, so it is working, it is still working. Why? Because a and b values we have given them. Before the function, we have declared a and b, and we have initialized it with some values. So if you don't want to initialize something, if you don't want to give the values before the function, you can just comment this out. And as I have told you earlier that passing the values, I have passed a and b, a comma b here. And then I have given the values like 3 and 4. You can do this way. Okay, so you can follow both the methods. If you don't want to pass any values, you can already have the values. You can declare a value with some values. Okay, so variable will, these are the global variable. Yeah, the next topic is global scope. So what is a global variable? Global means, okay, so first of all, the scope. Scope means the variable where the variable is allowed to use. Okay, what are the scope of these variables? So globally means it is allowed everywhere. It is allowed in the function. It is allowed throughout the program. So you can use global variable anywhere in your program. Like I have write a and b here. Okay, a equals to a, b to and use. Okay, so you can do that also. But if you don't want to use that values, you want a different values. The first method is you should pass the value, or you can declare the value between these functions. So let's declare the variable. Variable a equals to 7 and variable b equals to 3. Okay, so let me remove the comments and value. So now let's see what is happening. Giving me function add. Why? Because I'm not printing anything here. It's returning. So I have to print this. So let's remove this and add. Because whenever you are calling a function, you should have a open and closing parenthesis. Okay, so it is only showing me that there is a function add. You have to correct that. Okay, so I will add the open and close parenthesis and just run this. So now it is giving me 10 plus giving me 13. It is giving me 10 because 7 and 3 are local variables. So whenever something is performing, some operation is going on, so it will first try to find the local variables. Like local variables are a and b here. Global variables are also a and b. But it will first search for the local, and then if it doesn't found any local variable, then it will go for the global variable. Okay, so if I remove these local variable, and then if I try to print this, yeah. So if now I will, okay, so I should not pass anything. So now it is giving me 13. Why? Because first it searched for the local variables. It doesn't found anything in between their function, the local variable. So now it will go for the global variable. Fine. So this is the difference between the global and the local variables. So yeah, we have done this. Okay, so now undefined value returned from a function. So you can also, by mistake, you could return a undefined value. So how could this happen? It's like, let's say we have a variable A8, then we have a variable B equals to, let's say 9. Then there is a function. We have a function called fn, and this function we have in this function we have sum equals to LP. Okay, we are not returning anything and we are not printing anything. It's just a simple function which is performing addition. And let's say that sum is equals to 0. Okay, so now if I call this function console.log, and now if I call this function fn, let's run this. So it is giving me if 13 was from, yeah, the 13 is from this function. Let's comment this. Now let's run this again. So it is giving me undefined. Why is giving me undefined? Because the function is not returning anything. If you are calling someone, it means you need something from. So the function is called here, but it is not returning anything. But we want something. We want the function to return this statement, this sum. But the function, it will give you undefined. The return from a function. Always include a return statement. Even if you don't need anything, just return something, return a value. In spite of using the printing statement in between the function, use a return statement. Okay, so you will not encounter these problem, that is the function is returning undefined value. So this was about the defined value. So next is Boolean values. So Boolean values is, I have already told you, like true and false. So the function can return the value function fn. It can return the value true. So if true and false, you really don't need to put double quotes because true and false are not strings, not variable, they are values. These are the Boolean values. It could be used directly. Okay, so you just don't need to put double quotes. Okay, so let's print this out. Console.log, and then our function name, function fn. Run this. So as you can see, it's giving me true. It is returning true. Okay, so whenever you are returning Boolean values or you are printing Boolean values, you really don't need to put the double quotes around your around your true. Okay, so you just write true or false and just return it as Boolean value. Statement like if, switch, or ternary operator. So before that, I wanted to know that operators, yeah, the difference between the operators like double equals to and single equal to. So single equal to is the assignment operator, which is used to assign something. Like we use where a equals to b. It means where a equals to 6 or 3. It means we are assigning the value to the variable. Okay, so it doesn't mean we are comparing them. We are assigning it. And the double equal to will be used for comparing. Double equals to compare the values. Be concerned with the values. But in triple equals to, we are also concerned with the data type. Suppose if I'm comparing 3 and I'm comparing this string 3. So if I'm comparing it with using triple equals to, it will bias because they're concerned with the type, the data type. So this is integer and this is string. So data type is not equal. So it will return false. But if you use double equals to here, it will give you true because they are not concerned with date, right? They are concerned with the value. The operators are greater than less than equal to. I hope you guys know that. Okay, so but there are two logical operators also, that is and or. So when you use and, it means both the condition that you are true. Okay, and for or, only condition true and will work fine. Okay, so and means both the condition should be true, or means either one of the condition should be true. Okay, only one of the condition should be true, or if both of them are true, then also it is good. So now let's move to the conditional statements. This conditional statement. So we have if statements. So how we can use if? Let's say if a is greater than 3, dot or so as I said, you don't need double quote writing Boolean values. Okay, so we will write like this. And let's say we have a value of a 5. Okay, let's say this and this. So this is returning true. Okay, so if condition works, check the condition is and if the condition is false, it will to the next line of the parenthesis. So if greater than 3, we will perform these statements. So this is true. So we will perform these statements. So what statement is not true? We will perform the else part. And else part is like you can say let's have false in the else part. And let's change the value. The value is 2. So if a is greater than 3, no, a is not greater than 3. So we will not perform these statements. We will perform the else part. Else means a is not greater than 3. So let's see the output. So the output is false. Okay, so if you want to have n number of condition, you can also have that. You can just write else and then you can have the condition. So this is like else if a is equals to 3. Suppose a is greater than 3 and less than 3 equals to 3. A equals to 3. Let's say output is this equals 9. And let's change the value of a to 3. So output is this equal to sign. So you can have a big chain of workflow. The workflow is like we will check for the first condition. If a is greater than 3, then these statements will perform. Else, these set of statements are performed. And if the condition gets satisfied, we will go to the else part. And then this set of statements will be performed like this. Don't want to use if else, then we have another option. We call it as switch statements. So it is also statement. Here you just have to write switch and the variable you are comparing like a. Then you have to make cases. And after suppose a equals to print. I want to print true. Okay, so I want to print true. And I have to write a break statement. If you don't write break statement, all the cases of this case will get executed. Say case 3, if the value of a is equals to 3, I want to print false. So I will print false. The case gets satisfied. The condition gets satisfied with condition. let's say so this is default and then break. Let's give a value of a. Value of a is equal to 2. Let's run this. As you can see, the output is because value of a is 2. So this is executed. So let's remove this break. I told you that if you remove the break, all the condition will get executed. So let's see that. So you can see true, false, default. So if you break, all the conditions get executed. The value of and it is 5. Okay, it means none of the conditions will get satisfied, so it will go for a default one. Let's see the output. So yeah, the default condition will get. So this was the specifications. Now, if you want to compare the, so you can use in a single line. So let's make a function for this. So function, okay, fn, and want, okay, so let's return something. Suppose if a is greater than b and is greater than b, I want a to be printed, and if it is false, I want b to be. Okay, and a and b, let's say the value of a and b is 3 and 2. And the value of b is 2. Call this function. So the output is a. Why is greater than the condition is false. So we can also use ternary operator to compare the things. So now the very important topic. So JavaScript uses object. It is like somewhat similar to array, but it has some properties. Okay, so you can it's like you can have different properties under the same name. So let's have object obj object equals to let's have name. So let's say Miss name is Rishika. Miss Rishika. Okay, then we will put comma. So we have okay. So what is oh, we don't need. So name is Rishika. We want okay, and then the age is let's say age is 20. Object. As you can see, this is somewhat similar to array, but here we also have properties, and you can have n number of properties in object. Okay, so now how to access these properties? You can just write object dot property name. So let's access one of the property console.log. Then object dot. Let's say we are printing name. And this. So you can see the Rishika is the output. The name was Rishika, so it got printed. So if you want to delete something, so let's delete the property of age. Let's delete age. Okay, so you have to do this. Delete object name dot the property name. Then semicolon. Save this and just run this. So as you can see, our only has name now. The age is deleted. So in this way, you can delete it. And if you want to add a property, what you can do, obj, our object name, object dot, suppose I want to include age. So object, then age equals to, let's say 19 this time. Okay, so let's save this, print this. So you can see I included age again in our object. Okay, so we have updated object, we have added new properties, we have manipulated it. So in this way, you can do anything. So yeah, this was really important because in JavaScript, you treat everything as an object. You make number of object in JavaScript. So in this way, you can create this. So our last topic is loops. Let me comment this out. So now loops. So there are different loops in JavaScript. You can have for loop, while loop. So let's start with while loop. So while I is less than, suppose while I is less than 10, what I want it to print. Okay, we have learned about array. So let's declare array first. Declare a empty array. Okay, and I want to add something. So what I want, arr dot push, and I want to push I. Every time I want to push I, and then I will increment the value of I. And I'm using post incrementation because I want the value first, and I want to increment that value. So I have to declare I also. So yeah, let's save this and then just print this array console.log and arr. This. So as you can see, we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Why from 0? Because I have initialized 0 with 1. If you want from 1, you can have 1, 2, 3, any number. So what loops do? It's just reduce your number of statements. Like if I want to do this without, I have to write arr dot push 1, then push 2, push 3. I have to write this 10 times, okay, or any number of times I wish to include it. So yeah, loops will reduce your number of steps, number of statements. So this is while loop. So we also have the for loop and do while loop. So let's use for loop. So for that I equals to 0, then what I have, I less than, this time let's say 5. Then I want I less less. And then I want to do the same thing. I want to push this in our array. Okay, so let's comment this out. Uh, yeah, I have commented this and just I want to print this. Yeah. And this, as you can see, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, because my last number was 5 and the starting was 0. So it printed 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I have used I is less than 5. If I want to print 10 times, so I will use I less than 10, I less than equals to 10. Okay, so it's up to you. You can use a variation of conditional statement. So the last one is do while loop. So for do while loop, you will use do, and whatever the work you want to do, you can include here. I just want to add. I want to put something in our array, so I will write this. Okay, and then at the last you will write your condition. Okay. So this is the difference between the other loops and the do while loop. It's like run without checking the condition for one time. Okay, at the starting, it will run without checking the condition. So let's comment this and run this. Okay, so I think I missed something. Yeah, I haven't declared I. So that I equals to 0. Okay, so I think I have something. Okay, so I is equals to 0, I less than 10, and I'm not using this here. Let's have ARR after this. So here is our array, our empty array, then I have I. Then what I'm doing is I, then I plus plus, then while this, and then I have semicolon here. So this should be. Now let's run this. That is working fine. So you have to write the while just after this curly braces. So I have written that in the next line. That's why it was showing me error. So yeah, this is the output. So do while loop is different from the for loop and while loop because it will run one time without checking the condition. Even if the condition is wrong, it will run for at least one time. So that is the main difference between the do while loop and the other loops. So this was the last topic, and you can also nest loop. It's like nesting of loop is done. It's like you can in let's see this example. So I'm using for uh, let's have another loop inside this for loop. So I will take variable take a, let's say j. J should be uh, j should be less than suppose less than 5, and it's plus, and then I want to print you. I want to print this I and j value. So console dot log. Then I want to print these values I and j. So I comma j. I want to show you that both the loops are working fine. So yeah, I guess this okay. Oh, let's run this. So as you can see, we got printed these statements. So these are the lines. So yeah, you can use the nested loops. Nested loops are really beneficial when you are using 2D array or 3D array. It will help you a lot. So this was all about the basics of JavaScript, you can say. But there are also many more functionality which you can learn while say. But these were basics, and you can ready to run code, and you will understand that code easily. Thank you, everyone. This was all about JavaScript basics.
So thank you for the beautiful session, Aanchal. I hope you've got something to learn about, and soon we'll be sending you your certificates. And with this, we end our session.